I received a new security camera to review. This one's solar powered with pan, tilt, and zoom, outdoor and night vision. Looks like a real nice unit. Actually performs well once I got it to work. Let's check it out. Today I received a new security camera to show you guys. This one's kind of different than most of the other ones that I've seen. Here's the new one. It's a solar and battery powered pan, tilt, zoom camera. It's always on, always powered on. No wiring needed, no electricity required. Two-way voice. It'll operate on the 2.4 network. It'll also operate on a 4G wireless network. So, over cellular. I assume you just have to put a SIM card in it. It's waterproof. It's got metal and plastic. Optional. Simple instructions. We're going to power this thing up and see how it performs here. Solar battery, 7.8 watt solar power, solar energy. Has a large capacity battery. Has motion detection, cloud storage if you want it. Micro SD card storage, night vision, pan 355 degrees and tilt 160. And of course, it will operate with cloud storage if you so desire. I know some people don't like cloud storage. Other people think it's fantastic. It is if someone steals the camera and gets the SD card, then cloud storage may be your only backup option. But I know a lot of people don't like cloud storage. Look at the size of the solar panel on this thing. This thing is huge. Like, that's a good size solar panel with a mounting bracket. It comes with all the hardware that you're going to need to mount the camera, including a connection cable with waterproof connection. It plugs in and screws on to keep the connection dry. Comes with mounting hardware. Here's the battery pack that powers the camera. So the solar panel plugs into here to charge the battery pack. It also has a switch on the back and a USB-C charge port for charging it up if you're not using the solar option. Mounting bracket for the camera, or for that, I guess this one's actually for the solar panel and the battery. Battery pack for the solar panel, and the battery pack can be attached right to the back of the solar panel like that. And I guess the solar panel will plug into it just like that, or it can be mounted separately because it does have a screw mount on the back. So for example, if you were mounting the camera itself with the solar panel directly on the camera, you could plug it in, attach it with screws, mount this over top of the camera because there's a bracket here on the top of the camera for mounting the solar panel. So this way, if the camera is, say, mounted out to a pole, right, or somewhere away from a building or even on the side of a wall, but it's in the location where it's going to get good sun, you can mount the camera itself, mount the bracket, and the solar panel can be mounted directly over top of it like that. So the camera is sitting mounted to a wall, for example, or mounted to a post, and then the solar panel could be angled so that it could pick up the sun. For those situations where the solar panel is going to be mounted away from the camera, you can screw on the base and mount the solar panel separately. Mount that to a wall, and then your solar panel will attach separately to that to point towards the sun. So the brand of the camera is an INQMEGA, in case you guys didn't figure that out yet. Wi-Fi antenna would attach to the side of the camera. Mounting brackets held on by a screw. So release that screw. It's all sealed up here. Looks like this is a speaker for two-way audio. You can see the connector is all sealed up, so it's waterproof. This is metal. This is metal here. This bracket you would mount, if you're mounting it to the fascia board or to the side of your house, this bracket would mount on the house, and then the camera slips onto the bracket like that, and it's held in place by one screw. Should be really easy to put something like this up. A couple screws in here, slap the camera up with the solar panel already on top. It's ready to go. The SD card and the SIM card, if you're using it on the wireless network, would go in here. Sealed up with a gasket. This version of the camera, this is a sample that I've received, and this camera is available as a Wi-Fi only or a 4G version. I have the Wi-Fi version. Normally the SIM card would be right beside it. You can see on the circuit board where there's a place for the SIM card, but obviously this one here probably doesn't have the radio module in it either that's required for the SIM. But it is available as a 4G camera as well. But I say I just have the Wi-Fi. So I'm going to put a TF card in here, as they call them, or a micro SD to record on the camera itself. Battery pack, and check out what cells are in it. It's supposed to use 18650. According to the operating instructions, you can load it up with up to 6 cells. It says it'll operate on 1, but to get the maximum time, they say load it up. I wonder if this has already got some cells in it, or whether I have to put some in. It's heavy, so it must have cells already in it, I would think. So the screws removed. Aha, it has 6 18650 cells in it. This is nice because you can replace the cells if you need to. They're all connected in parallel, so this is going to give a lot of capacity. These are 9.6 watt hours each, and you can have up to 6 of them, so that gives you a lot of battery capacity. And these ones are rated for minus 26 degrees Celsius operation, so they're going to operate out in the cold. First thing we got to do is we got to take off the caps off the negative terminals, because obviously they're not going to work if the negative terminal is not connected. So that's the first thing you got to do, is you got to remove all of these caps from the bottom. So that the battery pack will work. If you don't do this, it's not going to turn on. Simple as that. Okay, once you get the batteries ready to go, you'll notice that there is a gasket in here to keep moisture out. We're going to put the top back on and replace the 6 screws. The camera itself features both white LEDs and infrared LEDs, so it can see in total darkness, and of course turn the white lights on if it detects any motion, so that you get a color image. But it'll also operate in black and white mode. This is just a protector to protect the lens. It got a waterproof coating on the lens here, a waterproof lens in front, covering on front of the lens. We'll leave this on for the time being. The infrared sensor, this is to detect if it's detecting any heat signatures of anybody moving, and that's what turns the camera on and triggers an alert. So I got a 64 gig SD card to pop into the camera. Just pop it into the back here and push it in. So the cover goes on. Reinstall the screws. Now it's time to mount the battery pack onto the top of the camera itself. It just fits in place like that, and there is a bolt and a nut that comes with the package. Nut fits into this slot here. One side that's got a hex opening on it. The other side, the bolt goes through, so the nut goes on. This is a self-locking nut too, like an aircraft nut. Install the battery pack and put the bolt through. Once the solar panel is attached, plug it into the back like that and plug in the camera power. There are places throughout the cable. The 4-pin connector for the camera, it only goes in one way. Plug it in and set the waterproof connection. So I'm going to download the U-Box app and set it up. Looks like I'm going to have to register it with an email address and get a verification code, which is pretty standard on these. I know some people aren't going to be happy with that, but that's the way they all work these days. You have to register the camera. So I got the app here. I'm just waiting for it to download. I've entered my email address, created a password, and put in the code, the CAPTCHA code. I'm going to click register now. And, oops, I guess I don't want capitals. We'll try that again. ENXR. Register. Validation code. Click the picture to change codes. Okay, well, we'll try a different one. 0OBL. Is that what it looks like? It looks like 0, or it looks like 80BL. 8. It's either a 0 or an O. I'll try OBL. We'll try that. Congratulations! We're going to send a validation email to my email address. So now I just have to wait for my email to arrive, which I just received. So I'm going to go into my email and I'm going to click the link, and that will get me registered. Validated successfully. Excellent. So now when I go back to the app, and I log in, set my notifications to allow push notifications so that I'll receive notifications when the motion is detected. Okay, that should be good. If I go back to the app now, add family, I'm going to make it home.
Enter a new address or press enter to use your default address.
Finish. Now before I continue, I'm going to turn this battery on here. Which will power up the camera. So power is now on. And we see the red light come on the camera to indicate that it has power.
The camera is now ready to begin pairing.
I'm going to click add device. And I'm going to set up, this is where you'll set it up for a Wi-Fi, set up Wi-Fi or a 4G device. So I'm going to set up a Wi-Fi device.
Power on your camera and check that the blue indicator LED is blinking.
And it's blinking. You can see it here, blinking blue. So yes.
Enter the camera name and address. Using default name and address can go to the next step directly.
Two ways it can do it. It can do it over sound waves or QR code. So if I go sound wave configuration, it should send out some tone. Okay, silly me. I put the wrong password in. We'll try this again. But anyway, that's one way of doing it. The other way is
enter the camera name and address.
Of course,
using default name and address can go to the next step directly.
The camera is now ready to begin pairing.
Enter the Wi-Fi password. Please do not connect with the 5G.
Yeah, rather than use the little tweak, little sound pairing this, I'm going to try it with QR code. So I'm going to click for QR code configuration. And
use your camera to scan the QR code.
And what that does,
maintain a distance of about 4 inches until you hear the confirmation.
So there's a couple ways to do it. One is with a QR code. Of course, that means you need to have
The camera
access
is now ready to begin pairing.
to the camera, or the other one is through the audible codes. Like I got it. I think I got my password right this time.
Pairing information received.
Okay, so now that should pair the camera to my Wi-Fi network. I got the camera paired. I don't believe it. You know, I spent hours trying to connect this bloody thing to my existing router. And everything I tried to connect it to my Action Tech 3200 on 2.4 gigahertz failed. I repeatedly tried. I reset the camera about a dozen times. I contacted the guys at the company that sent it to me. They suggested I try setting it up on a hotspot on a phone. It did not seem to matter. What? Gonna jump up here? What? Come up here. That's my cat interrupting me. This thing is noisy. Okay, be quiet. I should say, before I was so rudely interrupted there. I've been playing around with this thing, trying to get it to pair, and everything I tried would not pair to my Action Tech router. I don't know whether it's just a fault with the router or a compatibility problem between the Wi-Fi in the camera and the router, but that's something that I wasn't able to resolve. I even went as far as doing a factory reset on the router, reset everything to factory settings, which really caused me major headaches because I have several other cameras that are connected to it, and I had to reconfigure all of them to make them work, and it still wouldn't connect. So I went and found myself just a basic, generic, junk, cheap router and plugged that in and set up a separate network, and it connected immediately. So I don't know whether that was just a problem with the Action Tech, but as you can see, I can now control the camera. Here's the picture, and I can control it, pan it and tilt it. Now the camera's functional. We're going to take it, we're going to install it, and we'll set it up outside and see how it performs. So I've mounted the camera up to my fascia board with the solar panel facing up so that it will get a charge during the day. I may have to tilt the solar panel just a bit down, just because the angle of the sun this time of year is quite low. But certainly during the longer days, sitting like that will get full exposure, although I can adjust it, and I probably will. But just wanted to show you guys the basics of the unit. So when I open up the app, first of all, you can see myself on the screen, and my camera out here. Oh yeah, it detected me, so it actually turned on the lights, because I've got the lights set to automatically turn on. If I tap the pan tilt control, you'll see that the camera will tilt down or tilt up, and I can pan it. I'll zoom the camera back here so you can see what I'm seeing on the screen here. So if I tap the camera icon here, I can pan it and tilt it. I've now got it set so the lights don't come on when it makes a recording. I can turn the lights on and off from the app, so you can choose to record using infrared light, where in the dark it will record with just the infrared lights, and in black and white, or you can turn on the floodlights. So if you want to alert an intruder that they have been detected and they are being recorded, you can turn on the floodlights. One of the advantages of having a solar-powered camera such as this is that you can mount the camera up at heights where there is no power, and that way you don't have to worry about somebody stealing it or unplugging it. A lot of the cameras that you have to have power to, of course your power plugs are down low unless you're drilling holes in your house to run power lines. They can be unplugged, a lot of the cameras. So this is one of the advantages to having a solar powered camera, is that you can install it in locations where there is no power and at heights where someone can't actually easily get at it to, say, vandalize it or take the memory card out. Memory card's actually on the top there, underneath the cover that's protected from the weather, and it does have a gasket on it, so it should protect the memory card from getting wet. But that's what we're going to find out. That's why I've put it where I did, where it's going to be directly exposed to wind and rain, and we'll see how this one holds up in the long term. Well, I had to bring my camera that I put up last week. I had to bring it back down because it shut. Well, first of all, the battery went dead. I guess I wasn't pointed towards the sun well enough, and the panel didn't charge, so I'm going to have to reposition the panel. You can see it's running now because the sun came out, but we had a few days there where there was no sun, and even though this is supposed to last for, they say, 6 weeks with no sun, it didn't. But more importantly, I've had a problem with the being able to play back the recordings. So if I bring up the app, you can see that the camera is online now, and if I tap, it says, oh, now it's going to find the recordings. Let's see if they'll play back, because when it was mounted, I could not play back any recordings, and it looks like they're not playing back now either. And it says no memory card detected. I spoke to the manufacturer and they suggested I try a different brand of memory card. So let's remove the one that I've installed, and I will get a smaller. I put a 64 gig memory card in here. We'll try a smaller one. They're recommending a 32. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't record. Gasket's there, it's not like it got wet. But here's the memory card here, we'll just remove it. And I'm going to get myself a smaller memory card, and we'll put a smaller card. This one was a 64 gig. We'll try a smaller one. Okay, I just went and got a new Kingston 32 gig. We'll try this one. Incidentally, the files that were recorded on the camera before it went down are on the card. I can play them on my computer. Okay, now SD card is mounted. I replaced the cover. Turn the power back on and see if it detects the memory card this time. So I'll just give it a minute or so to boot up. Okay, the camera's online. Okay, now it's seeing the memory card. 28.9 gigabytes. But I'll format the card anyway. Format the memory card. There, so now it's being formatted in the camera. Memory card is formatted. So there's still no video stored, but I'm going to go remount the camera, and we'll see how it performs this time. I'm going to reorient this solar panel a bit, just so that it's pointed more towards the sky where it's got the sun this time of year. I'm going to point it more to the south, a little bit to the south instead of being straight up. Okay, now that I've got the camera back up and I've relocated the solar panel so it's more facing towards a southern hemisphere, because it was pointing straight up before, and at this time of year the sun just wasn't hitting the solar panel enough to really keep it charged. I have full control. I put some charge in the battery. Well, it actually took some charge itself, and as you can see, it's indicating that it is charging right now, just with the daylight that's there now. To play back the recordings, just tap the little icon here, which would normally be for cloud or memory card, and then slide over there, and your recordings will be stored here. So there's the recording I just made after I got down off the ladder. It recorded me walking around in the front yard. That's how simple this one is to operate when it's working. I guess I'll find out whether this memory card goes offline again or not. That's what I hope it doesn't. It's because when I had a 64 gig memory card in there, it went offline. It may have been that the battery went dead because I hadn't fully charged it when I put it up. And being how dark it's been so far this year in January, it's not getting a lot of light to recharge the battery pack. So when I put it up there, I only had, I think, a 20% charge when I put the battery up. So I've plugged it into my USB charger for a few minutes to charge it up, although it's a big battery, so to fully charge a battery would take a few hours. But we'll see. If I go tap on here, that should take me back to live. There's my live view. And if I just swipe over on this area of the phone, I can now move the camera. Wonder if we can see where the solar panel is now. If I turn it over far enough, we should be able to see the solar panel if my ladder's still there. Oh, I guess I can't. It won't go up high enough. That's as high as it goes. Solar panel's actually above the camera, mounted on the fascia board next to it, but up higher so that it's not blocked by the roof. It gets full sun throughout the afternoon. So that should alleviate, I think, my charging problems. Again, as far as zooming the camera, if I go to full screen, here's the picture. If I want to zoom in on something, I can just pinch and pan over. And it does deliver a good, a pretty good picture. If I tap there, that'll actually move the actual camera itself. So that's looking up towards the corner. And then pinch back to zoom it back. And go back to collapsed mode. And then again, if I want to review footage, just tap. Well, actually, I'm in the mode for reviewing. If I tap here, it'll show cloud. If I had cloud storage, which I don't, cloud storage would appear there, but I don't have cloud storage. I just have internal storage. So tap the cloud icon, and it'll bring up and play back your recordings. This should be the recording here with me moving the camera, I believe. If I skip ahead a bit, you'll see me replaying when I was moving the camera around, because of course moving the camera will trigger the recording. If we go back to live view, back to live, if I tap over here in the setup, okay, this is where you can set up your activity time. So You can set it to record 15-second clips, 30-second clips, 60-second clips, or always. I have it set for 30, which means it'll record for 30 seconds every time it detects movement. It'll record the movement that's happening, and then it will continue for another 30 seconds. Obviously, the size of the memory card and the size of the memory card and the amount of charge on the battery is going to determine how long it's going to record for. But if the solar battery, if the battery goes dead, and the solar panel hasn't charged enough, and it goes dead and it goes offline, it did come back as soon as we got a day of sunshine. The camera rebooted and came back online. So if it does go dead due to insufficient power, because it's not getting a proper charge, say you've had a month of rain and it hasn't had any good sunny days to build up a charge, it will come back online. Anyway, that's about all I can show you on this one. It's doing the job. I guess time will tell whether I'm going to have any more problems. Let's say I did have that one glitch where the memory card went offline, and I don't know why it went offline. After speaking with the customer service people, they informed me that I should try a different memory card, try a different brand of memory card, and try one 32 gigs. And one that's a class 10, which is what I put in it. I put a class 10, 100 megabit per second. That's a reading speed, but it doesn't need that for writing. It's only HD, it's not 4K. But we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching.